Okay, so as you all might be wondering, what the fuck is wrong with Sarah? And let me tell you, I don't know. She showed up like this.
I
As I've learned, and I don't know why, I don't really have an answer, but my anything to do with OBS or Discord, I guess, it particularly hates Sarah. Because she's also the main one that ever has audio issues.
don't know. I'm a curse upon everyone who tries to stream with me.
So this is just the life. Hi, Dark. But yeah. So this is gonna be her stand-in until she probably inevitably will show up behind it like
Yeah.
a weirdo. But yeah. Anyways, let's get to the meat of the fun. The meat.
I don't know what the meat of the fun is.
Well, I think,
Hi, Dark.
was it me or was it you last time?
I think it was me last time.
Okay.
You go first.
So, my weekly obsessions are very important. Because, so I told you, I had mentioned before that I had finished the main book that I was reading, which was like a 500 plus page book called House of Leaves. And it was crazy. It ended crazy. Well, it didn't end crazy. I think the weird part about that book was that it like had a lot of boring parts in the middle, or at least perceivably boring parts, where if you wanted it to be something else, it was not that at the time, and then it picked up during the end, and then it kind of just ended, and you were like, well, okay.
Something happened here.
It was still a good read for me, just because I thought the concept of it was interesting, even as much as it was difficult to read in certain points, both like physically difficult to read and also like with some of the things they were describing were kind of gross, but or just crazy, like they might have just been crazy things to describe. But because I had finished it, I think I finished it at least like a week or two ago, I haven't had anything to read. And for some reason, like beforehand, I did not think that I would want like another story or another book or something to immediately occupy myself with. But I feel like I craved it for some reason. Like I really wanted another book, like a physical book to read at work. And so I got an Amazon gift card for my birthday for like $50, and I just ordered books with it.
Hell yeah.
I literally ordered, well, because one of them, I specifically was looking for this author named, hold on, let me see, named Haruki Murakami. And I'd seen some of his books before where they're kind of like these mystery books, but they have like weird elements of surrealism. But I'd only ever seen like plot points described on a book cover or something, so I never actually really got into it, but I always wanted to. And I found this box set that was a pack of 3 of his like most known slash best works, as they consider best works, or I guess most popular, for only like 20 something bucks. And so I was like, obviously gonna get that. And then I ordered another book called Coin Locker Baby, that's supposed to come, I think, if not this week, next week. And that one's a bigger book, but it revolves apparently around a bisexual rock star and an athlete trying to kill their birth mother. But both that and the 3 books that I got from this set seem very interesting. And I don't know, I'm like really excited to get into a new story, which I feel like I have not been in that mood in a very long time.
Have you ever heard of the book? I think we saw it when we were at the Barnes and Noble. For your at the mall. There's a book called,
no, I know we're at the Barnes and Noble. I mean, like, what story?
It's a book. I think it's the 7.5 Deaths. Is it the 7.5? Yeah, the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
No. but it sounds
It's-
very theatrical.
I have only gotten through about half of the first chapter because I started reading it and then I ended up kind of like falling away from it, sadly. And I want to read more of it, but like the entire premise is that there was a death, obviously,
One would assume.
and you are reliving the experience, like what led up to it from different people's perspectives. And it,
Mhm.
like the main character is also like, the main character's going through it with you because they're like reincarnating as these people in this position, and they're like trying to piece together what's going on. And so it's like a whodunit kind of thing, and you're the detective, but you're also living as the people who have done all of these things
So
throughout the night.
it's
and
kind
I
of
need to-
like, what's it called? Oberdin in a weird way?
yeah,
Interesting.
but I need to read more of it, obviously, but from what I did read, it was very cool.
Mm.
I also don't know if you've ever read The Westing Game, but that's also a really fun book to read.
No, but I can't. Well, here, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Would you ever even think about reading House of Leaves?
Yes, it's on my list.
Have you seen some of the things inside of it?
Yes.
Like what they look like?
Yes.
And how you're supposed to read them / how you could read them?
I don't know about that part, but I have seen things of it.
Because the only reason, like, I was talking with my hairdresser I was talking with my hairdresser the other day about House
Okay.
of Leaves because we got on the topic of books. And because she also likes reading, and she like gets books from this thrift website where you can get them for like $5 and then you can give them back and all that stuff. And I was talking about it with her, and she was mentioning how she was reading a story, I don't remember what it was called, but it was a recommendation from one of her other clients, and she was reading it and she didn't like it because it felt like the main point of it, which was like a murder mystery of like they found a body and they don't know what to do with it, wasn't the main point of the story overall, and that it was following like other things. And I had mentioned that I was reading House of Leaves, but I didn't say, the most I said was like, there's a house, it's changing. Ooh. Because like there's a lot more to it than that, but that's like the gist of the core of it, I guess. But the reality is like the way that works, the way the book works of how it's telling its story, which I feel like I've told you before, is like a retelling of a telling of a telling of something.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, because it's like that, you end up getting like these giant portions of the book, which is why I think there's middle bits that are hard to go through, because you read these giant portions that have nothing to do with the initial story that you might be interested in, because it all involves like the dude that finds this manuscript that talks about the House of Leaves, because it follows his story, and then it follows him looking upon the guy that made the manuscript initially, and then how his life also has changed and or was affected from previous traumatic events. And then you just suddenly are juxtapositioned into the manuscript of like, and so in this documentary, and like you that on top of like you have entire pages worth of footnotes essentially to fake references that you have to read fake quotations on. But I feel like that was one of the main reasons why I initially, because I had put down that book probably for at least 3 or 4 months, because I couldn't get through those parts very easily because it wasn't really going anywhere. And it wasn't until I like forced myself to read it, funnily enough, at work, because I was like, there's nothing else to do, that I got to the more interesting bits, which were more talking about the house and all that stuff, but also to more interesting things that were happening within the person that found the manuscript's life. And so I know it could be very boring for some parts and or very jarring, because you kind of have to go back and forth between multiple different stories, which can be annoying at the same time.
Well, that's one thing I have the good autism for. I'm really good at keeping track of things when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I'm really good at piecing those puzzle pieces together when it comes to that, which is ironic because I hate puzzles. But so I think I would have fun reading it.
All I know
I
is
think.
that literally the last day that I finished the book at work, it had me like decoding a letter for 20 minutes. because I was writing it on a notepad document, trying to figure out what it said, and then as I figured out what it was saying, I was like, "Oh Jesus!" So
I
you
don't
have
know
that
where
fun.
I had a list. Is the thing. I
A
had a list.
Schindler's List.
I no. I had like a list of books I wanted to read. However, I don't have that notes on my phone anymore. So I don't have that anymore. So I have a new one on Discord, and right now it's And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, 4 by Rachel Leigh and Sarah Crate. Don't remember what that book's about. There's something that just says mirror workbook. I don't know what that is.
Sure.
The Companion by E. Ottoman. I think this is only on here because it was an audiobook that Caden Jensen did, but I don't know. The Future by Neil Hilborn. I have all of the Witcher books. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy I want to eventually read. Ethics by Kant.
Why?
Memory Police by Yoko Okawa. I don't know. It's odd here. I can't remember why a lot of these are on there. Something called Honest Truth. There's one that's like a horror book in like the format of like an IKEA catalog.
Sure.
Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and then House of Leaves. Those are the current on my I want those books, so I want to read them. And I eventually want to have a physical copy of all the Junji Ito comics as well.
I feel like
because I love those.
You might get disgusted by some bits of it.
By the House of Leaves or by the Junji Ito?
The Junji Ito.
Well, I mean, yeah. But
I need to find. This is something that I was talking to Faye about, funnily enough, the other day. I want to find good gay. You know?
have you read? Is it Dear Simon? Oh, what's it called?
Love Simon. Is that what you're talking about?
Love Simon. Have you read Love Simon?
Read it? No. I think I saw the movie once, and I know
movie
it's
doesn't
not.
do it
I
justice.
know it's
Movie
not
does
accurate to the
not do it
actual
justice.
thing, but the issue is, I like the concept of it. However, that is not the good gay I'm after.
Okay.
Because
what's the good gay?
I would classify Love Simon as very close to like a coming of age sort of story, obviously. And it's very much a finding your own as you're growing up and all of that. I don't want that.
It's the only book I've read twice voluntarily.
I don't want coming of age. I'm of age. I don't need to read other people coming of age right now. I am looking for an of age book that is just like an actual storyline of some kind. I feel like this is why I often end up finding like webtoons or something, because they'll like have casual gayness in them but have an actual storyline, and that's why I always gravitate towards it, because I feel like more often than not, especially in coming of age stuff, because that literally is the focus point of it, they make the relationship and sexuality the entire plot line, which is fine in some contexts. Like in Love Simon, it makes sense for that because that's literally what it's about. But
yeah,
I want something that it's its own storyline that has the gay.
Yeah,
it makes it seem like a virus, but it has the gay virus in it. And so I want to find like more of them, because I know they have to exist, and I know more than likely it's probably because they're written by people that are within the community itself, who know what they want to look at and read, and specifically. But I don't know. I need to look around for that. I need to shop around for good gay, because that's the other thing. You will find either coming of age stuff, or you will find the complete opposite, where it is the gay equivalent of those fantasy romance novels with the shirtless men and women on the covers. Which again, cool in theory, but that is like also going full into it.
But you don't want spicy fantasy, but gay?
I'm not saying I won't take spicy, but I don't necessarily need it to be the only thing, you know?
Fair enough.
I want some meat to the juice.
I have a good like collection of various things, but I don't know if any of them are.
Sarah has a
Mainly
bunch
'cause I
of
haven't
gay
read them.
baubles.
What?
What? Oh, also, so far, I got 13 new songs this week. One,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5 of them were off of an album of an artist that I follow that I didn't even know she was coming out with an album, but you know, I'm here for it. Especially because it's very different from her last album. Her name is Chloe Moriando. And I had bought an album of hers, a past album of hers called Sucker Punch, and that was very, very gay pop. In terms of like, it was very cheeky, it was very clowncore. If that makes
Boy.
sense. It had a lot of fun songs that were like dancey songs or like very in your face kind of songs. Whereas this album's called Oyster, and it has some songs on there that, funnily enough, the production almost reminded me of like old Owl City songs, because it's very like synth poppy but like electro-y and chill. Like there was no super super fast songs on it. There was like maybe 2 that were up tempo, but all the rest of them were pretty chill. And they all seemingly have a theme of being either by a body of water or being in the ocean of some kind. Because
Fair
like
enough, fair
the
enough.
ones that I have, well, actually no, I guess Parasite isn't one, but the ones that I have, it's literally Catch, Sinking, Oyster, Abyss, and then Parasite. But yeah, but no, I say clowncore because one of the songs off of her previous album was literally called Hotel for Clowns. I won't go into it any further, but but funnily enough, none of those are my favorite songs of this week. My favorite song is called Last Time by, and this is probably not how you say the name, but this is how it looks, Love Poon.
What?
Because it's spelled Lovpune. So here's the thing. This is a song that I had in my Spotify for a very, very long time. Like probably for at least 2 or 3 years. But for some reason within the past couple of weeks, this week specifically, I couldn't get the melody of it out of my head, even though I hadn't listened to it in forever. And so I ended up saving it, and I've been listening to it for a long time. It's very sad and dramatic, but also very sweet, because it's talking about like falling for someone with someone and having that emotion kind of last a lifetime seemingly in their eyes. And it's very dramatic, but it's very nice because it has a lot of good melodies that go into like a breakdown. Yeah, that's my lovely song update. Love Poon.
I don't have a D&D update. We did not have D&D this week, unfortunately.
Wow, loser.
It wasn't because of me.
Well,
It's because one of our members is in Florida, funnily enough,
yucky.
and Yoshi's back still hurts, so she can't really sit at a computer.
I thought you said sit dick a computer.
No.
That is necessary for
sit.
D&D.
It's not. But I've been looking at more play-by-post or live text games, trying to see if I can find one that I can join that they don't mind helping me learn a new system, because none of them use D5E apparently, which is fascinating. So I've been looking at different like forums and all that, trying to figure out where I can like worm my way in.
Worm. I don't know why that was funny to me. I don't know why worm was funny to me. Must be the
It's
gay
me
thing.
humor.
Anyways.
As far as weekly obsession goes, nothing good. I can't really say. I mean, I've been watching One Piece a lot more with a friend. But I went to urgent care this week because I'm having whole issues.
I mean, that is an obsession in and of itself. I feel like that
It's
becomes
one
a
I
monthly
didn't
obsession for
have.
you every couple of months.
No, I don't want it to. So that's kind of. I haven't really thought of much else, honestly, other than I've been very stressed at work. So
You've
it's
made
just
progress, though.
At work.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm still super out though. I'm only just caught up to this week, and then I have a chat with my bosses tomorrow that I'm trying not to be stressed about.
I doubt
'Cause
they'll
I
be
don't
like,
know.
you're not doing enough. Like,
I don't know what they're gonna say. It's making me anxious. They're gonna be like, why is this not happening? And I'm like, I'm trying. I have been keeping track of how many emails I do in a day, and some days are a lot less than others. Because some days I don't have nearly as much time. Sometimes I don't stay as late. Sometimes it's just a case of there's so much other shit I have to do. It's just, well, and also the transitive property of time is not understood by a lot of people.
and by transitive property, you mean?
I mean, I can do something that I'm going to have to do at a later point. Now, it's still gonna, in the end, it's still gonna take the same amount of time to do it. And that's still time I could, if I decided to do the mail now rather than at the end of the day, still gonna take the same amount of time to do the mail. It's just, if I do it later in the day, I'm less likely to be interrupted. So maybe it'll get done faster, or maybe it'll get done better. It's like, it's just, that's the part, because I had a thing where I set all of the debit memos and stuff that I get throughout the day, like all of the payments that we get for like gate stickers and stuff like that. And I usually put it aside and I do it on Thursdays because that's when we send them out. And my boss asked, well, why don't you do them as soon as you get them?
Hi, Mikey.
And I don't do them as soon as I get them because I feel like I'm going to mess up more if I try to do them like in small batches rather than in one big batch. But then also, it's going to take the same amount of time anyway. All I'm doing is splitting up the time that I'm doing into smaller chunks to do throughout the week. Like, it's, in the end, it'll add up to the same amount of time. So,
Sarah looks like this because this is how she showed up.
no, listen, I'm just broken on his end. I don't know. My chat's broken and
Well, then maybe it's just a bunch of issues. I don't know. A lot of the times, whenever I have issues with Discord, I always end up thinking it's something with me in particular. See, look, Robo Sarah.
I don't know, man.
I always end up thinking it's something with me in particular, but I feel like I don't. Even if it
The
was.
Sarah thing is, I know the Robosera has plagued other people's streams that I've been a part of.
Well, it makes me wonder what the even possibility of the issue is. Like, I don't even necessarily want to know how to fix it. I mean, I do, but I want to know, like, why it's happening, you know? Because there's got to be some kind of explanation for it. And I don't know if it lies specifically with Discord, and if it does it lie with your connection, or does it lie with, like, how you're broadcasted through other people's programs from Discord? Because if it's specific to you, that makes me think it has to do something with, like, your ID in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But...
And the thing is, it can't be a hardware problem because we were having these issues before I switched computers.
yeah. And technically this is a new computer too, so I have no clue. But anyways, I have a few things I can talk about. I have overarching topics and I have smaller topics that I can talk about. What do you want me to start with?
Let's start with overarching.
Okay, here are your options. We have straights, time travel, old teachers, or true crime.
I need to prepare for the time travel.
Do you?
I do. I need to rewatch the Back to the Future films for that.
That's a lot of preparation for just talking about time travel.
Are we talking about time travel in general or time travel in media?
Well, both, technically.
Yeah, I need
because that's the thing. I was looking up time travel today, funnily enough, because of this, not just for fun. And there were articles and stuff that came out that were recent articles that were like, scientists have already said that time travel is possible and we do it all the time. And it's like, if this is about to be a us living as us time traveling. I swear to God. And you know what? It was. They were like, every 1 second of time, you're going 1 second of time into the future.
Wow.
It was like, you move forward in time 1 second per 1 second. And I was like, this is so stupid. But it did get a bit more in depth in terms of like, they had to do with if you move faster, technically speaking, you go slower in time. In terms of like how movement works, there was more equations that don't ask me questions about it, but it was like they did a test where they had these watches that were on the ground, or clocks, I guess. I don't know if they were watches that were on the ground on Earth, and then they specifically took 2 up into a specific kind of aerojet that was flying. Yes. With the turn of the world, and then it came back, and it was like 530 something milliseconds off in terms of it was slower. And so in relation to, you know, how it's portrayed in media, at least, of like just being able to go back to a certain point in time, I doubt we will ever be at a point where we can go into the past, or at least that we would know of. Because you know how there's always those fake theories of like how there's time travelers that are coming from the future and going into the past, and what we've seen of them and all that stuff, like the babushka lady. Do you know the babushka lady?
I don't know in terms of time travel.
I've always heard that she was either someone involved directly in it, or she was a time traveler that was there to witness the event. But regardless, there's
an unidentified woman present during the 1963 assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Who might have photographed or filmed the events that occurred. Her nickname.
The babushka lady. But no, then there's also, of course, all of the theories surrounding like butterfly effect, I guess, is the main term that I always think of, but I think they called it like grandfather effect or something on Wikipedia. Where it's just like, if you change something and it changes how you could have gotten there, would it have changed it at all? Would it make you cease to exist? Like, what are the repercussions of actually editing a timeline, if there are any at all? Because if you edit it, does that just make a new timeline? Or, and then on top of that, and that applies to the past, because in the future, if you edit something, that doesn't really change anything for you in the present. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh goodness. Okay.
I'm gonna make Sarah talk about it, even though she said she wanted to be prepared.
Oh, if we're gonna.
Well, we can change topics. Let's talk about straights.
Okay. What, like straight people?
Yes. Oh, can I say something?
Oh God.
I only say this because I see his name in the Faye and Kester Discord chat. I need to get this off my chest. So you know Gamer. If you don't,
Gamer, I don't.
Gamer is this guy that he frequents Fankester chat, but he also was specifically in her stream last night. I had a dream. I had a dream where I like followed the exact same timeline of me finishing up watching Faye's stream last night, but instead of like playing Rivals with her last night, I just like, I guess, didn't. And instead what ended up happening was I got like a private message from Gamer on Discord, like a voice call or something, that specifically was like, I said something offensive in her chat and she banned me. And he was asking me as if I was like gonna be able to fix it or something. And I was like, well, what did you say? And he said something that was horrible. And I was like, I don't think I can fix that, Gamer, because I don't know if like she wanted you banned, I can't help you. And then he like grumbled and then immediately hung up on the call from me. And then for some reason I was like in my room with a woman that I don't recognize, and I got another call specifically from, oh Faye, you're gonna love this. I got a call from this random girl, or at least I don't know, it was a person that sounded in feminine nature, but honestly I could see them being like just a being, because it was like I got a call on Discord from this random person that was specifically like, you're gonna unban Gamer, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I just sent something to you. And they were like threatening me, and I was like, what are you talking about? You sent something to me. And then lo and behold, at our front door, because I was at the house that I'm living in, there was a firework bomb package that he sent to our front door, that when I picked it up, it lit a fuse and it started counting down, and I threw it out into the front of our yard, which for some reason was filled with these giant pine trees that had Christmas lights on them. And the fireworks went off in our yard, and one flew into the house and like exploded and hit my mom. And it injured her, and then like the pine trees in front of our house were like completely destroyed. I don't know why I was attached to these pine trees, but apparently it was our focal point of the house. And so I run back to the call where this person had called me, and I was like, what the hell was that? And then they sent me a picture of a calculator with a knife in it, and they said, this is what's coming next to you if you don't unban Gamer. And I was like, damn, okay, geez. And I started typing up a message to Faye, and then I woke up. But the entire time I was thinking to myself, this is horrible. If this is what my life has become, I hate it. But then at the back of my mind I was thinking, but if this is all a dream, it'll be over soon. And then I woke up. So yeah.
Was like stabbed into the calculator, or did the calculator like brandish the knife?
It was like in the calculator, like if you were to take like a T209 or something, you were to open it up, there was like a hidden compartment in the middle. Like it wasn't a functional calculator, it just had a compartment where a knife was in it, that the knife could be sheathed out of the calculator. And they were showing me the inside bit, and I'm assuming they were making a threat of like someone's gonna come up and stab you with a calculator, I guess. But I don't know, it was very specific for some reason, but that was what it was that they showed me.
Dear God.
So yeah, I just had to get that off my chest, because when I woke up I was like, what the hell was that dream? Where I got like a terrorist attack from someone because Gamer didn't get unbanned from face chat. But yeah.
They were attacking you too, not her.
I don't know why. I had that thought too when I was in the dream, and I was like, is it because, I guess it's because I'm a mod, but whatever it is. But anyways, straight people.
The straights. For some reason.
What do you mean for some reason? We talked
Why
about
are we talking
gay.
about straight people? Yeah, because we're gay.
Even more reason to talk about straights. Well, I was okay.
Is it?
Here's the thing. I was reading.
What brand of straight people?
What brand? Is there different, like Kellogg's versus Crunchy Oats? Like,
Why did you say it like that? Kellogg?
like, what are you talking about, brand?
You know what I mean. Like, what kind of straight people are we talking about? Like the obnoxious straight people? The homophobe?
Would those not be the
Like-
same?
I mean, they could be.
Also, I would like to note that also one of the gifts that Gamer sent in the chat of Faye and Kester chat is literally a house blowing up, and I think that's insensitive to my dream. Just saying. But no, for me, I think you can talk about multiple things. Because here's the thing. I specifically, when looking up the straights, because you know, you have to do your research for these kinds of
You
things.
got a list of every straight person ever in the
I
world.
know, it was a big list. They don't call us a minority for no reason. But I specifically found this Reddit post that was in a LGBT place. Like, it was from someone, I don't remember, I think it was like a bisexual or pansexual person, and I think they were cis, but I don't fully remember. Because the meat of the topic was, it had to do with how the gay community talks about the straight community. In terms of
Okay.
like, they thought that the gay community was specifically very harsh on the straight community in some of the things that they would say, and that it affected people like bisexual, pansexual, straight, trans people, like all that kind of stuff, because when people would just use blanket terms of straight people rather than like maybe cis hetero, but even then some people had issues with that, and there was a lot of discourse in it talking about how some people did feel like they were ostracized if they were either questioning or if they were specifically saying that they didn't know whether or not they were bi or pan, but they were worried about that because then if they had any kind of quote unquote straight looking relationship, that they might be shamed for it by the gay community, versus there are other people in the gay community that were like, I think straight people can take a quote unquote beating or like a joke or something, considering what we've endured for years and years and years and years. And so I want to know your thoughts on the topic because for me personally, I have never necessarily felt like I was 100% a part of the gay and or the straight community. I feel like and I think that also has to just do with like my personality type in general of being very lone wolfy in that kind of aspect. But I've never necessarily felt like a oneness with either one of the communities. And so I would never say things like cis heteros should die because I don't think that's okay. But at the same time, I think poking fun at straight people is kind of like not necessarily a right, but understandable from my perspective of considering the things that I've heard and seen done by straight people to gay people. Mm-hmm. And I say gay people as a blanket term because it's not just gay people, and I also say straight people as a blanket term because that's the thing within the straight community, if you can call it a is it a community? Is it a community when it's just what it is? Like, it's like
they want it to be a community.
It's like talking about white people and having traditions. Like, is there like actual community there? But I think it's more talking about straight people. I feel like more often than not, never in a million years is anyone specifically, or at least for me, because I can't speak for everyone, but never in a million years if I'm talking about any kind of jokes or stuff revolving around the straight community, I am not trying to refer to allies of any kind. I'm trying to specifically, if anything, I think that's the issue, where it's like it comes to an assumption point of if there's no point made, people think you are talking about every single person that would identify as straight in any way or have any kind of straight relationship. Whereas in my mind, obviously, you go after the homophobic people, you go after the bigots, you go after like all the people that would be really stupid and horrible to these people. But in reality, some people, like I had mentioned before, some people go like that extra step of being like, any cis hetero person should die. And that can be funny in terms of the ridiculousness of it because of how ridiculous I think it is. But in terms of in sincerity sake, because some people I would think are being sincere about that feeling, I don't necessarily think that's okay.
Oh yeah,
because it's like the exact same thing that we would have been dealing with from them in a way. Oh,
I
look.
think it's
it happened
what?
Right as Sarah started speaking.
Oh god, am I there? Oh, I am there.
Okay, let me just... Actually, you know what I can do here? You keep speaking. Tell me your thing.
I think it's very similar to the men who are like the ones when a woman is talking about her bad experience with men who decide to come into the comments and be like, it's not all men, it's not all men. And it's like, okay, you're missing the point. I think it's very much a case of, if you are offended, I mean, obviously it is a case of like specifically knowing what you're saying, and if it's like all cis has to die, then it's like, yeah, okay, you need to calm down. But if it's a case of like, straight people, and then someone's like, excuse you, not all straight people, it's like, if you're getting offended by it, that means you're the target.
True.
What the hell are you doing?
I want the face to persist.
Oh,
the horrors persist, but so must you. Here, I'll put it right over your face.
Like, people who know it's not about them, who know that they're an ally, who know that this is a common occurrence type thing, are not going to be offended by the straight people kind of jokes.
But then that's the other thing. Like I had mentioned in that conversation, there were some people, whether or not they were like questioning queer, bi, pan, or trans, straight, like anywhere in that spectrum that has the possibility of having a straight relationship or a hetero relationship, I guess. But they would still be within the LGBTQ community. And so, but they have those moments where like they might be either not taken seriously or like almost denied. And I feel like a lot of times you typically will see that sort of situation happen in like high school, college, because that's when you see a bunch of the baby gays, essentially, who I feel like are much less tolerant in a way. Because I feel like not only when you're that emo, essentially, because I feel like every child, not to go on a rant, but I've been spring cleaning this week. Specifically, I was cleaning not yesterday, you know, it was yesterday, where I was going through a bunch of stuff in my closet to try and clean it out, and I found an old journal of mine.
Oh boy. And
it only has one entry in it, but I was ripping into my family. Like in a very, very emotional way that I didn't remember when I had written it, because I was like, I don't know when I had these thoughts, but I eventually pieced it together based off some of the things I said. And it was like when I think I was in middle school, high school, in that range. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh, he is going through it. Like, and so in my mind, that's how I imagine anyone from like middle school to college, like where they have heightened emotions, and those heightened emotions make them act up, essentially, in their own way. And so that's why I always imagine that kind of stuff would happen to these people in those time frames of their life, because probably all the people that they were having it happen to, that they were having them do it to them, were in that emotional phase of like they were probably die cis hets, like, and they thought that was normal and okay. And I always imagine, and because of that, obviously, if you have any kind of experience like that happens in your childhood, because it is still technically your childhood, then it's gonna stick with you for a long time, and it's gonna make you have these feelings of like, well, where do I belong if I don't belong here? And so I feel like a lot of the time that's what ends up happening with all of these different heteronormative kind of relationships that people get into, and then all of these people. But I've heard horror stories of like where these people will have friends that are like gay friends of theirs, and if they even like talk about their partner who is technically within the hetero relationship situation, they'll be made fun of or something, or they won't be taken seriously, or they'll be like, you must not be fun because you're straight, even if that's not the case. And so,
and I think those people are a problem, I think, in that case, where it's the entire thing of, oh, you're genuinely making your sexuality your entire personality. If you think that being in a relationship with someone and it can be passing as a straight thing, it's important to acknowledge that there is a certain privilege that comes with a straight passing relationship. But it does not negate the fact that it's still technically not a straight relationship if someone in there is queer and everything like that. But to be like, oh, you're no fun because you must be no fun because you're straight. It's like, okay, why are we doing this? What is the point? What's the purpose other than to be mean?
I think that,
like, if you're meaning it genuinely.
Well, if they're meaning it genuinely too, then I feel like that just that calls for like, let's talk. Like, we need to talk about
there's something going on here.
What happened? And I know there could be a lot of answers to that, and there could also be a lot of, because it's the same thing with like, if something happens in your childhood that sticks with you, then I imagine that also would stick with you into adulthood, and it could make you act a fool, essentially. And it's like you need to be guided back to a normal thing, because I know a lot of the times, at least from what I've seen, it always made me wonder, because I'd heard stories kind of similar to that even before I looked up this stuff, and I had seen people talk about it, and I would always wonder, like, is this what it is to be in the LGBTQ community? Because, like I said, I would never say that I was like fully in it, and not in like a bad way of like I can't stand them, but more of a I never fully, I guess, found an in, if that makes sense. And so I always would see it kind of from like an outside perspective, not necessarily a straight perspective, because that's a separate issue of like what they look at it, because then you have like the opulence, like you can't go too far into one way or another, because then that's where you get these point of views of like these people are aliens. Whereas I feel like I was always on this like middle line of trying to understand kind of where both people are coming from, because of how it turned into like almost a war, which like it's kind of been a war for a long time in its own way, but like nowadays I feel like because of how stuff has developed, at least in the US to some degree, obviously not getting into too many details because of recent stuff, but over time there's at least been progress made to explore the fact that neither one are like aliens or anything, like they're still people. And it's something of like they've been around for a long time, you just might not have known because either they didn't feel safe coming out, or like they never really did it because it was a shame thing. And so I feel like more often than not, I always just wondered how different it was comparative to like all the bad experiences people were telling, because obviously I imagine people would want a community regardless, because going back to psychology, everyone wants to belong. Everyone wants to find community with each other. And so with that obviously comes like the like-mindedness of, oh, you're like me, you're treated specially by not good specially, but specially by other people, and so that gives you like a bonding point. But I don't know, because I always am like, when I send the gay memes to Shinny to try and decode, and then Hide says things like, what the hell are they talking about? I always am like, well, your guess is as good as mine, because I don't know either. And so I feel like I'm always like decoding that stuff too, because I'm not in it enough to get the joke, I guess.
Have you been on the subreddit Are the Straights Okay?
I think I've seen it before.
Like, that's always who I imagine. That's like the brand of straights that I'm making fun of usually.
The brand
is the people
what is with you
who
and
very
brands?
okay.
Kellogg.
It's the people who are, oh, how do I describe this? The people who are straight, but it feels like they're only straight either as a ha gotcha kind of a thing, or because they were told they had to be and they didn't have a choice. Because it's a lot of misogyny, it's a lot of homophobia, obviously, it's a lot of toxic masculinity, because more often than not, at least from what I've seen, the people who are usually made fun of as a, I want to say hot gotcha, just like, ha, you think this would be something you think a gay person would do, but I actually straight, so hot. And we're like, oh honey, it's okay, you don't have to pretend. Like, it's okay. It's a lot of people who are like, oh, if I wasn't straight, I would totally be with you, bro, kind of a thing. And it's like, nothing's stopping you. You don't have to be, you know, if you feel this way genuinely, you're allowed to pursue that, you know? Yeah. No one's going to say you can't.
I would like to point out that I looked up the subreddit, and one of the first things that the post is, it's a headline of a news article that says, pregnant woman forced to swallow lit blunt after being dragged out of bed by a man who wanted to wash her feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the comments on it are saying things like, I can't believe the communists in this comment section are taking the woman's side.
Yeah, it's full of people who are like genuinely like, why are you with a woman when you very clearly do not like women?
I don't understand. That's the thing though. I feel like, not in the same extent, because I feel like this is like you would say a brand, but I've seen similar crazy things from certain gay subreddits of things that guys will do. Not just sexual wise, but also just even in relationships or dating wise that I find ridiculous. Like I remember one of them had to do, I think one of them had to do with describing a cooch. And the replies, because it was supposed to be all like gay guys that were answering this, and the replies, I think they ranged from like predator to an unripe pomegranate. And I was very confused because I was like, what are you talking about? What's going on here? What's going on here on this day?
What?
Exactly.
That didn't feel like a complete thought.
That was my complete thought. My thoughts never have a complete. That's all you need to know.
Great. It's just, okay. It's just, because there is, like, a certain subset, too, of, women as well. Who are very much, like, oh, you're gay, don't hit on me, kind of a thing. Or do use gay men as, like, an accessory piece, kind of a thing. I think it's just, with it comes emotional maturity, because you were like talking about like when people are younger they're a lot more radical and that kind of things, but I think with it comes an age of maturity where it's like, well, I don't care anymore, dude. Like,
well, that's
you're
the
gay,
funny part.
awesome, love that.
It feels like a lot of times the people that you end up like witnessing on both sides that are that crazy seeming, I guess, to us, are people that feel like they're stuck in the past in a way.
Yeah.
Like they're stuck in their high school selves or something. Because it makes you wonder, like, what is that? Because you always see those things where it's like the girl who can't get over the fact that she was like popular in high school or something. That's the only thing I can think of that comes to mind, of like, you see these people that clearly they either don't like where they are right now, or they specifically thought it was better back then. And so because of that, they act the exact same way. And like similar to what you said, you see the things of like some girls, because I know this has always been a topic of debate, especially in like the yaoi community, funnily enough, of like the fetishization of gay men for women specifically, in terms of like if that relationship, like where's the line specifically of genuine media / appreciation or representation versus fetishization. And I feel like that happens a lot with any kind of minority, I guess, where you will find these specific things of like people saying they like it, but they like it for like the wrong reasons, in a bad way, like in a icky way. Because that's what I always imagine, especially with the girls that are like, me and my gays. It's like, hold on. Wait a second.
So like, I have a feeling you're just friends with them because you can use one as a handbag and the others you think have a crush on you.
That's
kind of
the other thing, like the token gay best friend trope.
Yeah.
Like constantly, not only in media but also like in real life. Like it's based off of stuff that happens in real life.
Yeah.
And so it always made me wonder, and worried too. I think that always made me worried about like any people that I became friends with after a certain point in time. Because I wondered whether or not that would be a topic of like why people are friends with me. Because as you know, I'm not very straight acting.
No, you are very, very clearly gay.
I'm not very straight acting, and I told this to Faye the other day too. I was like, I don't even think I can act straight. I don't know if I ever have acted straight, to be honest, because even when I was in elementary school, I don't know what was considered straight for a child, because I wasn't thinking about that at the time. But I don't know. I've never necessarily even thought about that. See, it's hard to explain, Mikey. Like, the most I can think of... The only thing I can think of in terms of, like, that comes to mind would be traditionalist, feminine, and or masculine tropes being enacted by the opposite perceived gender, if that makes sense. So, for instance, like how I talk, I would say. I have some kind of lilt to my voice. Sadly, naturally, it's not something I can control, and I'm not like monotone all the time. Like, I don't care.
What's your best dude bro voice?
I don't have one, because if I do one, it's gonna be bad. Because I'm just gonna be like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Like, that's the only thing I can really do. But then on the flip side, you'll have like what people consider, I guess, butch lesbians or something, somewhere along those lines. In terms of like being a more masculine presenting female specifically. And so I feel like that's the best I can equivalent to quote unquote straight acting based, and it always comes down to based off of your perceived gender, of like what people would think your gender is.
Because like I don't think people...
Sarah, do you want to explain butch lesbian to Mikey?
It's exactly what Quiz just said. It's a more masculine presenting lesbian. It's a masculine woman.
Because that's the thing. Both
it's a lesbian.
In the lesbian community and in the gay man community specifically, they have like butch lesbian, lipstick lesbian, which is supposed to be the feminine version. That's like girly. And then with gay dudes, they typically, even though they're not supposed to, I say they're not supposed to, people still do it regardless, they categorize it by tops and bottoms and how stereotypically they act either more feminine or more masculine. Or like, or the DL guys. Do you know what that means? You know what that means.
Down low? What?
Yes. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so DL guys are basically, so it's either you could probably switch it out for trade too. They're supposed to be these quote unquote either straight acting guys or guys that are experimenting that don't want to be seen or seen with or perceived as feminine, girly, gay in any kind of way. And so like actively they'll be like mask for mask, which means like masculine looking for another masculine guy. And that's like a big thing that still happens within the gay male dating community to this day, that I feel like some people are talking about in terms of like, why you policing how people act, like how people are as people in terms of like what you want to have sex with. And I don't know, because gay politics, let me tell you, it exists.
Oh god. The thing is, I don't think I give off any like specific vibes is the thing.
Disabled.
When it comes to whether or not, okay, other than that, I'm talking about like identity wise, because I don't think I give off.
You did before.
What do you mean I did before?
When you had colored hair.
Okay,
because I feel like that also, funnily enough, is a stereotype that they always use.
It is. It is a stereotype.
Colored hair, piercings, that kind of shtick.
I give tism, thank you, I do. But I don't think I give like whether or not I'm straight or gay or if I'm cis or trans. I don't think I have any specific vibe to me. I've never been told I have a vibe.
That's nice.
Are you saying that because you know I grew up with Undertale AU fanfics, or are you saying that genuinely because it's true?
I mean, you do give a vibe of someone that was in at least some kind of fandom as a child. I wouldn't say there's specifics to it. But I think it's just the way you talk.
You said one time that I'm not a woman in your mind, which is fantastic.
No, you're more of like, don't take this the wrong way. You're more like a lump of clay. Because I feel like you would just roll around and like turn into things.
Oh, you know what? People are like shapeshifting would be. Honestly, being a shapeshifter would be pretty cool.
I feel
Like, not
that would
even
be
if I
ultimate
didn't have to
expression
like.
of self.
It would be fantastic. I would love that. I was sniffing Sharpies in middle school. You're right.
Oh God.
I think I've told this story, but I didn't have internet on my phone one time when I was working at CVS, and I was restocking the nail polish, and I just grabbed one of the nail polish and I cracked it open, and I would just smell that every now and then.
To like give you a hit, like.
I know. I just like the smell of nail polish.
Oh dear God. You know, funnily enough, I
But-
found a perfume that's supposed to smell like an old motor garage.
That was your vibe or what? Mine.
I was about to say, I don't think Sarah gives the vibes. Well, that's not true. She did something in school. She consumed something she shouldn't have.
What? Hold on. What did I consume?
Exactly. You might not even remember because it could have been so chemically toxic it made you forget. I don't think I ate anything weird. Actually, well, I didn't eat it. I chewed on it. You know those like the eraser hats that you could put on pencils?
Yeah, that checks out for you.
Yeah.
Granted, okay, I didn't do this in school, but I did it one time, and I don't remember why I did it. But do you remember, you know those bushes that would be around the playground that kind of had like kind of spiky leaves?
I think
Like the
so.
dark green spiky leaves, and then they had like the kind of either the red or like the purple berries.
I think so.
And how you would like pick the berries and like you would squish them. I'd never ate the berries. I was apparently smart enough to know not to eat the berries, but I wasn't smart enough to not know not eat the leaves.
Hold on, wait. Why would you eat a leaf?
I don't remember why. I just remember chewing on it and then my mouth started stinging.
Yeah. I would just don't put any plant that you don't know what it is. Even if you
I
know what
don't
it
do it
is, don't put it in your
anymore.
mouth.
I don't do it anymore. But I was a dumb child.
Well, I mean, I feel like you.
I did a lot of shit to my body as a
I
child.
was about to say, I feel like anything that's happening to your body right now is just revenge for what you did to it as a
No.
child. That's where the holes are coming from.
No.
I mean, well, funnily enough, I can segue. I can segue into something that you're not even gonna think that I can segue into. So I got my perfumes.
Oh God, what do they smell like?
Well, I already told you one of them smelled very much like that cucumber melon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, okay, so I have a DKNY Confessions of a Rebel one and a Juliet Has a Gun one. And yes, that's a perfume brand name. And
I believe it.
the DKNY one is called Be Delicious, and it's the one. Here's the thing: the DKNY one was advertised as, first of all, it looks green. The bottle looks green, and it's supposed to have like a green apple, grapefruit, cucumber, that kind of smell to it. And I was like, okay, if there's a bit of cucumber, sure, I don't mind that. I didn't smell any apple or grapefruit. I just smelled cucumber and slightly floral. And so I have smelled like that for a long time. But then for the Confessions of a Rebel one, that one's called Cherry Bomb because I've told certain people it before. I think I told Mermaid and Faye this. I have been looking for a cherry smelling perfume, like a good cherry smelling perfume that lasts a while. And I have this thing. If you like smelling Sharpies, I like medicinal cherry smells. Like, think
Okay.
NyQuil.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think it has to do with the fact that the old medicated Carmex cherry had a very particular smell that was very cherry, but also very medicated. Essentially, where it smelled slightly medicinal, and so I have fond memories with that, and they don't make it anymore, so I'm trying to find that kind of smell. And they have this perfume called Cherry Bomb, that's supposed to smell like cherry liquor, black cherry, ripe strawberries, sugared praline, and vanilla woods. And when I tell
Okay.
you, it smells like Christmas. Not cherry. It smells like Christmas, and I don't know why. Because for some reason, it's like some kind of spice or something that's in it. Or maybe it's just the way that it reacts with my body. But it smells like almost cranberry Christmassy with spiciness to it that isn't supposed to exist. And I don't know why. I don't mind the smell. I think it smells nice, but it doesn't last that long, which that's the other issue that I keep finding with cherry smells. They never last that long. Because I feel like no one can ever do a cherry middle or base note. They always put them as top notes, and those are the ones that immediately fade away after you spray them on yourself.
Mm.
And then the Juliet Has a Gun one is called Not a Perfume, and it's called that because it only has one ingredient in it.
Is that just cherry?
No, this one's not a cherry smell. This one is literally just...
Is this sulfur?
No. It has something called Cetalox. Cetalox. And I swear I've smelled this in other smells before because it smelled familiar. But it reacts with everyone differently where they smell different. Because I sprayed it on a couple of other people, and for them it almost smelled floral, and for me it smells more musky. But it smells like a body wash smell, where it's not very strong, which I guess is why it's called Not a Perfume, because it's kind of just meant to be a smell that's on you. But it just kind of smells like a you washed yourself in the shower kind of smell.
Thank God.
And I always wanted to smell it because I always wondered what it would smell like, and now that I smell it, it's kind of like underwhelming, because I feel like it's something you'd have to layer for it to make sense. But besides cherry smells, I've always wanted to find a really good coffee smell too. And I have some that I've looked at that specifically might be able to smell like coffee. Like I found one that was called Vietnamese coffee, and I love Vietnamese coffee, like how actual Vietnamese coffee, because they do like extremely dark espresso blends with like sweetened condensed milk. And so it's like extremely strong, but also very sweet. And so if that smells anything like actual Vietnamese coffee, love that. Love pink.
You're in business.
But a lot of times there's not that many coffee smells that either aren't barely there or aren't extremely expensive for some reason. And I don't know why. And no, Faye, the bottle, well, I didn't get bottles of them because I use the Scentbird thing, which gives you like tiny little spray ampules to like try them, which I'm much more for, especially in cases of like if I don't like something, like there's no point to buying a whole bottle. But then also, oh my gosh, my signature smell, which I would say is my signature smell because I like it the most.
My waffle cone one?
That is not my signature smell.
Oh.
My main one that I would say that I like and I use the most is called Angel, and it's by Mugler. I use the Eau de Toilet Water version of it instead of the perfume version, and because it smells slightly different. And they used to have it where you could buy these 100 milliliter refills for like $160 or something. And it would be something where you could refill your bottle, because the bottles that they have are like in the shape of a star, and you could refill them so you wouldn't have to buy new bottles every time because they're like glass bottles. And so I was like, cool. So if I ever want to refill my bottles, because they last me a pretty long time, but if I ever want to refill them, I can just grab one of those and just pump it in. They don't sell it for mine anymore. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but they don't sell it on their official website anymore. And so now I need to look up to see if I can find it anywhere, because I don't like the normal perfume version of it, because it smells, for context, Mikey, the normal version of Angel heavily smells like you have dipped yourself in honey. Which some people like, clearly, because that's like their most popular smell, I would say. Because they have a bunch of different versions of Angel, essentially. But the toilet water version of it does not nearly have any of that honey smell, and if it does, it completely washes away to be like a really sweet smelling, kind of patchouli-ish smell, I guess, which I don't know how to describe patchouli. You kind of have to smell it yourself. There's a lot of things that I don't know how I would describe this to someone that's never smelled them before. That's not how you spell it. You just spelled patoil. That is not how you spell it. Here, I will specifically... This is how you spell it. It's a plant. It's a perennial herb, essentially. So it's that mixed with like a really, really fruity, not fruity, I guess, kind of almost gourmand smell. And that means like it smells edible. Because if I've learned anything about myself, it's that I like smelling like you can eat me.
Well.
And not because I want people to eat me, because I like how that smells. Hence the waffle cone situation, which I've had my own issues with that, because when you first put that on, you smell like burnt caramel. And you kind of have to let it lie on you before it smells normal. But regardless, that's what I've been doing with my smells. And I specifically found one that was like called dead dinosaurs. And that's the one that's supposed to smell like gas.
Okay, yeah.
It's supposed to smell like gas, but people say it doesn't smell as much as gas in the long run, but it smells more like the mechanic's garage, like I had mentioned. So, you know, that's the only reason I could think of to possibly get a sample of it so that I could give it to you and see if you like that smell.
Yes.
Because I've also seen other cherry smells that I've wanted to try, but some of these places that sell these cherry smells, because I find perfumes from all of these weird little indie designer brands that they cost like $160+ a bottle, and they don't have samples. And so it's like, do I want to blind buy a $160 bottle to potentially be disappointed by something? Maybe. It depends. Because I also have been... I'm someone that half of the intrigue of a bottle of perfume is the bottle itself to me.
Yeah.
If I smell something and I like how it smells, I don't care what the bottle looks like. Because I have one by this smaller company called Henry Rose. That's a very simple bottle. But they have a smell that like is a really, really nice vanilla warmy smell. And I just like how it smells. Because I got a sample of it and I was like, this smells good. And there's another one by Henry Rose that I want to get too that completely smells very odd, but it smells good to me. But then the other one's like the Angel one, it's in the shape of like a star, like a 5-point star, but like stretched out, and it looks really weird and interesting. And so that was what initially made me want to even smell it in the first place. And I really liked how it smelled. So I have a mix of smells. And then I have that green church lady one that I've grown to like, actually. Not all the time, but occasionally.
I haven't found a perfume that I'm obsessed with.
Britney Spears obsession?
No. There hasn't ever... Is there a perfume that smells like tea tree oil?
There's herbal ones,
I feel like
yeah.
there has to be. Because I feel like I would enjoy that one. I like the smell of, like, salty smells.
What do you consider salty? Like, a coyote just pissed on you? Like...
I think more like ocean salt.
There's definitely ocean smells, too.
I feel like I would enjoy, like, more, like, cologne-type smells than I would
Here's the thing. You want me to... this is not what I thought this was going to go into, but let me talk about perfume. Because you say cologne. When you say cologne, you mean more masculine smelling smells, right?
Yeah.
That's not what cologne means. Let me offer you some clarity. This is finally a topic I can talk about. Because I say that as if I'm not gay. But if anything, this just proves how homo I am. But really... The whole different stuff like eau de perfume, eau de toilette, eau de cologne. That's not how it's said. I just say that because it's stupid. the entirety of those distinctions is completely based off of the concentration of oils and smells specifically to alcohol. And so, for instance, eau de toilette, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly on the scale, is above cologne, but the perfume is above eau de toilette. And so perfume is like the highest concentration, which is why people typically have that as something that will last a long time, something that will really stick to your skin, and sometimes have a really big like range of smell for people around you being able to smell you. Versus cologne is typically the more close kind of thing that you smell if you're right up on someone, and that might not necessarily be as strong. And so they typically market those for men because they figure men don't want to be like, you smell me when you walk in a room, which clearly is not the case, considering we all know what Axe body spray smells like because of how boys don't know how much to spray on themselves. But that's what those classifications actually mean. Cologne means well, it's not a perfume. Cologne just means a scent with a lower concentration of whatever smell profiles are going into it, which is typically like some kind of oils and ingredients. So the higher the alcohol percentage is typically the lower the percentage, because it always has to be in a certain range for it to be balanced. And so that's why the higher percentage of one means the lower percentage of the other.
Okay.
And then there's base notes, there's middle notes, and there's top notes.
Oh God.
And
Any diagram.
And for top notes, those are the ones that you initially smell like when you first spray it on you. And the thing is, typically it's the middle notes and the base notes that are what changes depending on your own chemistry, because every smell reacts differently to different people, because they have their own like oils and how their skin is made up, basically. So when you put it on you, that's not necessarily how it's going to smell on someone else. So that's why you can't always 100% trust every single review either, whether it be negative or positive, because it might smell horrible on them, but it might not smell like what they're smelling at all on you. But yeah.
I know when we were at the Bath and Body Works, I was because you hammered it into me that perfume smells different based on who is sprayed on it.
It's true.
And I was talking to one of the sweet people who were trying to help me find a good smell. And I was like, I know it can smell different once it's on the body, you know. They were like, it's so true.
I'm glad that you sounded smart to them. Oh my gosh. Well, no, typically I would say in your case, because you say you like more masculine leaning smells, that typically they lean much more amber musk sort of situation, or woodsy. They love a good woodsy smell for masculine smells, because they think if you're in the woods, you're a man. or leather. Leather and tobacco. Leather, tobacco are like, for some reason, quintessential smells to what they think men want to smell like. And I guess they also cater it towards what women want men to smell like, because that also has to be, because if, like, for instance, a boyfriend girlfriend couple, a girlfriend's not going to buy a smell that she doesn't want to smell on her man.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So
Well,
that's the thing, Mikey. Those smells that you're smelling, the smells that you're smelling with your smelly smell, that's basically their natural scent, and that's what ends up mixing with whatever you put on and changes how it smells. And typically what changes is the middle and the base notes, because the middle notes are what you'll smell a bit after you spray it initially, and the full dry down is when you smell mainly the base notes. And so if you don't have a very strong base, that's what typically makes it not last as long. But yeah, welcome to Perfume Lessons with Quiz.
and it's just, there's a whole another layer when you realize that your favorite J-pop group is called Perfume.
I know, right? That's a separate episode. That was before I even got into actual perfume smells.
It was a pipeline.
And then that's the other thing, you know, that was actually really funny, Sarah. I want to commend you on that joke. I just want to make sure you get your recognition for that. But no, That's a really good joke. But I specifically want, you got me thinking about it, and now I can't think of layering. That's what I'm talking about. Because layering works differently. Because then whatever you put on specific, oh, that starts dying in the background. Whatever you put on specifically will not only interact with your chemistry, but it'll interact with that and the other smell on top of it, and it can make entirely different sense based off of what you put on and what order you put it in too. Yeah, it's using multiple different perfumes after one another. Oh, and you know that thing that people always do? You know.
What? No,
Okay,
I don't. What thing?
So, do you know about pulse points?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how when people
Like the inside of your wrists, like certain points on
basically
your neck.
high heat areas, because that's heat is what ends up making smells radiate better and has it unlock better. So that's why they always say like your wrists, the inside of like your elbow area, near your neck, all that kind of stuff. So what you'll see people do is they'll spray it on these points and then they'll rub it around. You're not supposed to do that. Because when you do that breaks down the perfume specifically into, like, it thins it out and it breaks it down so that it will not last nearly as long as if you were to spray it and then just kind of pat it onto your arms and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, when I spray my perfume, it's usually in a hurry.
It's
I
usually
just
a cloud.
like spray. I just
A cloud that
sometimes
you walk
I
through.
usually just like spray, like do one spurt on one side of my neck and then another spurt on the other, that I just leave.
That's the thing. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you another thing. Here's the tip from me to you. If you want to have whatever smell, if you want to give it the best opportunity to be something that you personally can smell all day, then if you're going to spray it underneath your shirt in your chest area. Because when that's constantly underneath your shirt and your body, so that like it's having that kind of heat sort of situation, it's kind of like a mini oven. That coupled with the fact that, you know, shirts have holes for your head, so there's gonna be a hole that's directly underneath your head that will have direct access to something that not only will not have wear and tear of rubbing up on things during the day, because it'll just be underneath and directly on your skin, but also because it's going to be in like one of the hottest regions, because it's basically in an oven, it will have the most likelihood of longevity for the entirety of the day, for you specifically to be able to smell it consistently throughout a longer period of time.
There you go.
You spray them on your shoulder, Mikey? You mean neck? Shoulder? What are you talking about?
Collarbone?
Perfume is not cold, first of all. If it's cold, you're bad.
Are you keeping it in the fridge?
That is true. Are you? Are you chilling your perfume? That's a thing, though. Because if you leave perfume out for a very long time, that's why perfume changes over time. Not only with also evaporation, like natural evaporation, especially in heated environments, but depending on its composition, it can actually change how it smells over time as well. Like, remember when we smelled that really old musky smell that Grammy had, and it smelled god-awful?
Yeah.
And you remember how it looked like amber yellow?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't supposed to look like that. Because I looked up that bottle. It was supposed to be near clear.
Wow.
And it was not supposed to smell like an animal peed on you. So... But yeah. Shoulder joints. If it's where I'm thinking, I have no clue why you would spray it there, but you know, pop off king. You spray where you think you need it. And if you think you have stinky shoulders, I won't stop you. But yeah, anyways. Do you want to finish with anything, Sarah?
Completely not related to anything you just said.
As per usual for this thing.
I don't know. Have you seen anything about the Minecraft update?
I saw something about a friendly ghast.
Yes. So basically, there's a new, I guess it's technically a block in this case, called the Dried Ghast, and you find it in Soul Sand Valleys near
Dried?
those big.
Like
Yes,
freeze-dried ghast?
No, quite the opposite actually. Very shriveled up. And you find them. They're just these little baby ghasts that are near the big bones that you find in Soul Sand Valleys, and you're supposed to pick them up and bring them into the overworld and submerge them in water, and they will gain their moisture back and they'll kind of be like revived, and they're just a little happy ghast, and you feed it snowballs, it becomes a full-sized happy ghast, and you can ride it, and it's like a moving floating platform that you can use so you can like build with and everything, and 4 people can ride on the ghast at a time.
How fast
And
does
it has
move?
these dorky, from what we've seen, not too fast, but I believe it's going to be more of a very useful building tool in survival. But they have like these really dorky little glasses, like little, it's so, they're so cute, and a lot of people are like, there's like been a lot of art and like animation stuff about just like how sad it is that it's like, oh, the reason the ghasts were crying was to try and keep their babies hydrated, and that the ghasts were never evil, and that the Nether was actually this like cold, like almost ocean type place that instead was like the ancient builders is kind of what they've been called, like came and kind of ruined the Nether and made it into this hellscape. And so now these ghasts were trapped, and that's why they attack players, is because they see the players and it's like, oh, you're the one who did this to me, and they attack. So there's been a lot, but then I've also been seeing people talk about how the people who are all sad over the ghast are the same people who like trap villagers, and I'm just over here like, okay, listen.
Well, I mean,
these villagers had it coming.
There have been so many, with every single mob, I feel like there's always some kind of lore theory revolving around like, they weren't always evil.
Well, yeah. But it's very funny. And then I saw a post, I think I sent it to you, but there's a post that I saw that was this, someone in creative mode basically torturing villagers. And the way that they were doing it. Literally, but then I was talking and it was like, so the example showed was like setting a villager on fire and then keeping him alive with like instant health potions.
Oh yeah.
And all I could think of was like, this is very similar to what Quiz and I used to do on that creative world.
But we kind of did it with each other.
We did it with each other, but we also did it with some villagers too.
Well, all the way back then, we didn't have villagers.
No, we did. I remember making a little, like a weird little thing for them to walk through into a cactus. I remember making that.
Well, no, I remember that specifically, but I'm talking about like when we first did you remember that weird room bar?
I remember. Yeah.
That was back before I think villagers were added, and then after villagers were added, because you kept updating the server, that's when we went to those weird test chamber things. Because I also built one of those horrible fake portal test chambers too.
Yeah, that you made me do. Yeah, you just put me in.
It wasn't it wasn't really a test. It was more just
was
a glass maze, I guess. No, it wasn't even a maze. I think it was just like there was no thinking to it. You just went through a path in an iron room.
You could see through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, hold on, I'm gonna write that down. I think we should. Well, no, have we? We have, haven't we?
Have we done a tour of the world on stream?
I don't know if we've done it on stream.
In private. I don't think we've done it on stream.
Okay, well, I have the old one.
I don't think I do anymore. I think my dad does.
I was about to say, I saved all the copies to make sure that I had them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, that could always be next time. That, or potentially Five Nights at Freddy's, or potentially Perfume. All kinds of things. There's always options. But
Time travel.
I do know for next week I want to get a guest, and the guest might change, or we might have multiple. We'll see. So all of you, look forward to it. You hear that? That's the sound of the
No.
streets.
Is it?
Did you hear that?
No.
Okay,
I don't
good.
hear anything.
I'm glad it didn't pop up then. Hold on.
Fuck you.
There, that's the sound of the streets. I mean, it is true. But anyways, okay. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh god.